Alright guys, M-Tech Guy here. Now we're going to be doing a little bit more on the M-Tech E46 today. Now I need to get something sorted out today, something that's been really annoying me. It's been doing my head in. Now when I first bought this car a few weeks ago, the main thing I needed to get sorted out right away was the two front tyres. They were worn heavily on the outer edges, so I got them replaced and also got a wheel alignment to straighten things up. Now I got the two front tyres and the wheel alignment done at the same time, and as it happened on that day, as soon as I got it done I needed to go and pick my kids up. Now as it worked out, normally the way they do a wheel alignment, they get everything adjusted and straightened out, but what can happen sometimes is the steering wheel can be slightly off centre. So the guy who does my wheel alignments, normally he'll take it for a road test afterwards just to double check, and if it does need a bit of a tweak he'll just adjust it to make sure the steering wheel's bang on centre. So once my wheel alignment was done, he wanted to go and take it for a road test, but I needed to shoot away, so I said don't worry about it, I've got to go pick my kids up. But what he did say to me was, see how you get on with it, and if it does need adjusting, let me know, bring it back, we'll get it sorted. I want it to be right. But what I said to him was, I'll take it away, I'll see how I get on. If it is slightly off, what I'll do is I'll sort it out myself, because that way I can make a video on it and maybe help a few others out that might be in a similar position following a wheel alignment. Now I've done this before and it's not really a big deal, it's pretty straightforward to do yourself. So to start off with, let's take the car for a drive. Let's take a look at that steering wheel, and I can show you guys that it is slightly off centre and we can see roughly how much it is off centre. So as you can see, heading down the road straight here, that steering wheel's just sitting a bit too far clockwise. Okay, so when we're heading down the street dead straight, the steering wheel's just sitting a little bit off centre, too much clockwise, so we need to make some adjustments to get that steering wheel nice and centred and less annoying than it is right now. So to be able to do that, we need to make some adjustments to the front wheel toe. So basically, if you were looking from above down onto the car, the toe adjustment is the front edge of the front wheels, whether it's pointing inwards or outwards. Now this has all been adjusted correctly with my wheel alignment, so with relation to the two front wheels, the toe is set correctly, but what we need to do is make the adjustments to both front wheels the exact same amount so we don't lose the toe adjustment in relation to each wheel. Now I make this adjustment with the tie rod ends. So if the steering wheel's too far clockwise when we're going dead straight, if we were to straighten up that steering wheel so it's nice and centered, that would mean the two front wheels would be pointing slightly to the left. So the adjustment that we need to make on both front wheels is we want to adjust it so there's slightly more to the right, and then that'll compensate for that steering wheel being off, and that should center everything up nicely. Now it's hard to tell how much adjustment to make, so we're just going to do a little bit at a time so we don't go too crazy and then send it too far the other way and end up over correcting ourselves. So if we've got the steering wheel dead straight, and that means that the wheels are pointing too far to the right, what we need to do is make an adjustment to the left hand tie rod. We want to shorten it to bring the front of the wheel inwards, and then the right hand tie rod, we want to lengthen it to push the front of that front wheel outwards. And we're going to make exactly the same amount of adjustment on each tie rod so we don't lose our toe adjustment for our wheel alignment. Make sense? Right, let's get into it. So let's get the front end of the car jacked up, and then we'll take a look at them tie rod ends and we'll adjust them accordingly, and then we'll take the car for another run and see how that steering wheel's looking. So we've got the front end of the car up in the air now, the front wheel's up off the ground, so this will give us access to the tie rods here. So this is what we're going to be looking at making the adjustments to today. Got the left hand side and the right hand side over here. Now as we figured out earlier, if the steering wheel is dead centre, the wheels will be slightly facing to the left hand side. So what we want to do, this being the left hand side of the vehicle here, we want to shorten this tie rod end, and then over on the other side we want to lengthen this one. So we're looking to move both front wheels ever so slightly to the right, and then that should bring the steering wheel back in alignment. Now as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to adjust both the exact same amount, so that way I'm not going to lose my toe adjustment on the wheel alignment. So first off, what we need to do is mark the position of this where it is right now, so whatever adjustments we make, we can see exactly how far we've moved, and if it gets all messed up, worst case scenario, we can move it back to where we started, and that'll give us the starting point again. Right, so first off, we'll give this a bit of a clean up with some brake clean. Now, if your tie rods are quite rusty, before you start, you're going to want to introduce a bit of penetrating fluid there and then give it a clean off before you mark it, because if you mark it first and then you need to oil it, you're going to lose your marks. So we'll mark the position here now, and that way we can find our way home if we get lost, and we can see exactly how much we've adjusted it. So first we need to release the locking nut here. This takes a 24mm spanner, and we're going to hold the tie rod end with a 21mm spanner. This is the size that it is on my car. Right, now it's the inner tie rod portion that we want to adjust. So we're going to keep this more or less level. Now this wheel on the left hand side was pointing too far to the left when the steering wheel was straight. So we need to tighten this to shorten it to bring that wheel towards the right. So we're going to counter hold the tie rod end. We're going to tighten the inner. So we'll tighten this 1/8 of a turn or 45 degrees. We can just see with our marks there, and we can lock that down. Just bear in mind, when you do lock it down, it will move ever so slightly a bit more. Onto the other side. We'll give this one a bit of a clean. Give it a mark. Release the locking nut. Right, so this is the right hand tie rod, so we need to lengthen this one to push the right hand wheel outwards. So we're essentially going to unscrew this one. So we'll loosen this 1/8 of a turn or 45 degrees, so this is going to lengthen the tie rod. Now we can nip up the lock nuts. So if we check the marks here, we can see that spot on 1/8 of a turn or 45 degrees. So we've lengthened this one, the other side we've shortened it, so that should bring the wheels slightly to the right hand side. So let's get it back down on its wheels. We'll go for a quick drive and see what she looks like. There we go, that's much better. I'm a lot happier with that. Alright guys, so there we have it. That's how you go about straightening up your steering wheel so it's nice and centered. Now if you found this video interesting or useful, don't forget to give it a like, and make sure you go and check out the rest of my YouTube channel for more BMW DIY content. Consider subscribing if that's your cup of tea. I'm MTech Guy. Thanks a lot for watching.